So what is a variable? A variable is basically a name which is given to a memory location. And whenever we say memory, we are talking about our RAM and not about the storage drive. Now if you are confused as to what RAMs and storage drives are, we have already covered that up in the video by the name core hardware components. So if you haven't watched that video, I recommend that you watch that video as well. And these variable, it serves as a basic unit of storage in our program. So whenever we make use of variable, we are making use of the particular memory location, and which is referred by the name which is given as the name of a variable. And the coolest thing about variable is that its value, which is stored in the variable, can change during our program execution. Now if you are wondering what program execution is, just think of it as our source code or the program which is running inside the CPU. And our CPU is also known as the brain of the computer system. As we have already discussed that a variable is just a name which is given to a memory location, and the operations performed on the variable, it affects only that particular memory location, and we need to declare the variable before we can use it in our program. As we know by now that variable is just a name which is given to a memory location. Let us now look at the rules as to how a variable need to be named. Well, you can pause the video now and go through the rules for naming a variable. Moving forward, this is a very simple table that tells us about the values the variable wants to store and the data type that is to be used in order to store the particular value into the variable. Now whenever we want to store a character into our variable, and by character we mean single character such as capital A, small letter a, capital P, small letter p, and so on, we make use of the char data type. And whenever we want to store integer numbers, and by integer number we mean any number that doesn't consist of a decimal point, and it can be both positive as well as negative number. For that we make use of the int data type. Long and short are basically a sub classification to our int data type. Moving forward, whenever we want to store decimal numbers, we make use of the float or the double as our data type. We make use of float whenever we want to store small decimal numbers, and we make use of double whenever we want to store very long decimal numbers. And whenever we want to store true or false into our variable, we make use of the bool data type. And whenever we want to store string of characters, or so to say combination of individual characters, we make use of the string data type. And whenever we want to refer to nothingness, we make use of the void data. Now this data type is mainly used with functions and not with our variables. Having said that, let us now look at the syntax for declaring variable.